It rates every single program in the state of Texas. And it does it during the year, and we tell you what the computer says. Also, it tells you every week as a measuring stick during the season how much better in the computer's estimation, how many points better one team is better than another. Now, some have taken that to say, oh, so it's a betting line. No, it's not a betting line. It's not a wagering line. You'll not find that line there. Although Jeff Howell said, oh, there's some guys sitting up there by the Andice General Store or someplace like that they may lay a gentleman's dollar on it or something like that. So they might do that. But no, it's not that. It's a measurement through an algorithm to show how many points one team is supposed to be better than another. And it's scary how close it is. One time there was a game last year, a playoff game, I think it was first round, maybe second round, where Mart, the proud alma mater of our good friend Quan Cosby, Mart was listed by the computer as being a 78-point favorite, or listed as being 78 points better than the other school. You know what the final score of that game was? 78-0. and it didn't always hit it right on the head, but it was pretty close. Anyway, point being, the first release of the computer has come out for August, for the soon-to-be here 2023 high school football season, which gets underway in 24 days. 23 days, actually, for those who are playing on the Thursdays. So, anyway, that's we'll have a little bit of a reading of the tea leaves, so to speak, with that. But we're going to do there's two other things I want to do today. One is I've been asked this several times over the past few years, not just late, but folks have asked me my favorite Longhorn football memories or favorite games to call and all that, and I'm going to give you a top 10. My top 10 favorite Texas Longhorn football moments, both as a play-by-play broadcaster, and then there'll be some when I was the analyst working with Bill Schoening. So I'm going to give those to you during the course of the program. But, and here's the main theme. I thought about this an awful lot yesterday and last night. I thought, well, do I want to put a whole bunch of guests on? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Do I want to, have a lot of people hop on and do this? But ultimately, it came down to me wanting to thank you. And I know there's been different ways of thanking, and I kind of did so when I announced a couple of weeks ago that with all the things going on and with the shows and the programs going away, that August 1st would be my final day. And I was thanking a lot of people who did a lot of things for me and with me and around me during the course of these last 3.5 years in this building. And I'll repeat some of that. But the main thing in thanking you is also to grant you the wish that many of you, again, have asked of me. And we're going to do this by way of the Specs text line at 337-3776. For example, John in the Bay says, Craig, I just want to thank you for making my commute each morning a little bit better over the past few years. Remember, he's out west, so that commute starts a little bit differently. He says, I'm certainly going to miss you and Jeff, but wish you both the best in your future endeavors. I truly appreciate you being so kind with your time the few times we've met. Hope to see you on campus later in the fall for a game. Best wishes, John in the Bay. Thank you, John. Here's my opportunity to thank you a little bit. I will open up the Specs text line. It's open. And you have the liberty of asking me anything you want to ask me. Now, there will be a couple of things that I may not be at liberty to completely disclose or answer, and I'll let you know that. I'll say you can't really answer that particular thing, and there's this or that. But anything else you've ever wanted to ask me, you have until noon. And I'll get to as many as I can on the Specs text line at 337-3776. So if you've got a question, you've always wanted, why in the world do you remember so many damn farm-to-market roads in the state of Texas? Why do you like the Dodgers? Why do you, when did you start? Why are you so into the high school mascot? Whatever it is, if you have a question that you've always wanted or have asked and I haven't gotten to or I haven't answered it, now's your time. You got an hour and 50 minutes. So you can do that if you want to do that. We are also going to give away two more copies of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine. So we're going to give away 2 copies of that, and we will. And we'll give away one this hour, and we'll give away one next hour. So we'll do that, and we'll have some reminiscing and some things like that. A couple of folks on the Specs Time, where do we find the Horn app for Android? You're going to have the advantage of me on that. I'm not sure about for Android. I have been an iPhone guy. Somebody asking, what are the origins of you being a gravy whore? As I once claimed, I just like gravy. It started, my mom made some good gravy. Linda makes fabulous gravy. I've always just liked gravy. I'll tell you another person who likes gravy. At least I'm going to guess that he does because he's a native Texan. But he's joining us right now on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina Hotline. As promised, he said if he got free, our good friend, on my final day here on the Horn, Gene Watson, our MLB insider, joins us now. You like gravy, don't you, Gino?
I do, except I'm day 29 of no fried, no sweets, no alcohol, no Diet Coke. So appreciate the temptation of a big bowl of Grandy's gravy with a dozen rolls every day for lunch in high school.
I didn't know you were on this big diet thing. So how's it going?
Oh yeah, it's going great. I'm making great strides, but it's like throwing a deck chair off the Queen Mary, so I got a long way to go.
Okay, all right. I know you only have a few minutes. I know you're in the middle of it right now. Today is the Major League trade deadline. Your ball club yesterday made a deal with the Cubs, picking up Nelson Velasquez in exchange. And how do you pronounce the young man's name that you've made this deal with? That you have sent.
Jose Quaz, who was actually a great story. He was an independent league sign that was actually a UPS driver. That went. His brother talked him into playing independent league, and Scott Sharp, our senior vice president, assistant GM, saw videos of him. They signed him, and he was a great story. So to turn him into a 24-year-old right-handed power hitting outfielder was a significant move for us, and we're really happy with it.
Yeah, well, and you guys, I know, may not be done yet. Nobody may be done yet. I mean, there's a lot going on. We're hearing a lot of noise, and is this, would you say, Gino, a more active trade deadline than in recent years? And if for no other reason, because there are so many teams who have a shot at least making a wild card, so they're wanting to load up for it. And finally, we've gotten to the point here on August 1st where the teams that have decided that they're not going to be contenders, only now are they ready to part with some personnel.
It's really interesting. I think a lot of it is based on how teams view their upcoming schedule and how difficult or easy it may be. When you look at the Angels and the push of what Perry Manassian's done, it's just been incredible. Adding C.J. Cron and Randall Grichuk again this week with all the injuries. Taylor Ward got hit in the face with multiple fractures. But they've got the second toughest schedule in baseball. So, he is obviously all in, not trading Shohei Ohtani. So he added to the club. I think it's been interesting how some teams that were expected to win this year are peeling back, and some teams that weren't expected to win are adding. And so the schedule and just, how the fan bases have responded with the attendance in some markets has certainly driven the decisions that the organizations have made. But I think today, just on our end, I think it could be one of the craziest trade deadlines. I mean, my phone rang all night long, just concepts, hey, if we get this guy, would you have spinning players off? There's going to be a lot of money trades where you're moving money for money. But I think today is going to be a really, really exciting day for baseball.
Let me ask you about a couple of deals the Diamondbacks did. They picked up Paul Sewald from the Mariners yesterday, trying to shore up their bullpen, and they return 3 hitters: Dominic Canzone, a rookie outfielder; Josh Rojas, utility man; Ryan Bliss, a Double-A middle infielder. Clearly, the Mariners are looking to bolster for the future there. But how about the D-backs and what they're trying to do with their bullpen?
They're not giving up. I mean, they feel like they have a chance to get the wild card. I expect them to do something more today, either with a pin or a starter. But there's a case where, I mean, there was not a team in baseball that had more momentum going into this season after last season than the Seattle Mariners, and they traded their closer. And so they certainly viewed the remainder of this season as, you know, we're going to try to burn at both ends and add it for the future and maybe keep this thing going for this year. But pretty surprising move for what the expectations were going into the season for the Mariners.
Well, and then we kind of didn't, no surprise that Oakland might be making some deals. They sent reliever Sam Moll to the Reds, and then the A's also traded Jace Peterson to the Diamondbacks for right-hander Chad Patrick and cash considerations. In the case of the Reds, here's another team that's in the thick of the fight and deciding that they're going all in.
Yeah, and I think they're going need-based. I mean, Sam Moll's been around a little bit. He's bounced around. But I think they're going need-based right now. I don't think they look at it like, hey, we're not there with Atlanta. We're not there with the Dodgers. But let's improve this team and make a push in the division and the wild card and see what we can do without giving up a great deal in return. And so that's really where they are with things. And I look for them to make another move or two today as well.
Interesting. We mentioned the Cubs deal with your ball club. They also reacquired Candelario, Jeimer Candelario, from the Nationals, 6 years to the day almost that they traded him to the Tigers. So the Cubs, another team, and they've been red hot, and you were just in Chicago to see them and saw them also on the road as well. How about what the Cubs are thinking about here?
Yeah, amazing. And then they went on that run, winning 9 of 11 and 7 in a row. And Jeanmar is certainly the most versatile right-handed power bat that's out there. He can play some first, play some third. That ballpark, he's got a chance to go on a little tear now with that ballpark in the second half. And, you know, he's a free agent at season's end. He's highly motivated to continue to play well. And the Cubs have just, like with Jose Quaz and with Jeanmar Candelaria, added small pieces around that ball club to try to make incremental improvements. And as I've said for weeks, don't count them out, and they are continuing to push.
Our MLB insider, Gene Watson, joining us here talking trade deadline stuff. Okay, so the Mets made the deal yesterday, trading Mark Canha to Milwaukee for minor league pitcher Justin Jarvis. Okay, that's one thing, and everybody figured the Mets ran out. Now, obviously, the multi-million-dollar question is Verlander. And the clock is ticking, and I know there are a lot of suitors out there, and your buddy Ken Rosenthal reported not long ago, a little while ago, that he thinks the Astros may be in best position to make that deal, even though they may not be able to give up, say, the prospect types that some other deal. Do you feel that not only is he on the trading deadline, that something really indeed could happen with Verlander today?
I really do think something will happen. I know the Phillies have been heavily involved. Houston, he's always obviously got a great deal of familiarity there. This is going to come down to really who can pay out the salary the most, who can pay it down the most, and what the acquisition cost is there, because that's where the Mets are really going to be. And they're actually here in Kansas City. I actually had breakfast with their bullpen coach, Dom Cheedy, this morning. And so that's really what it's going to come down to with him, especially after moving Scherzer, and the money that they saved on that is who's going to allow them the most savings, because all this money is just going to be going to rebuilding for 2024 at the Major League, on the high-end side of the Major League. Who's going to take the most money is going to be really, really important with that deal.
Final thing, Gino, and then I'll let you go because I know you got to get back at it. You mentioned that you think there's more going to happen today. Is there a team in your mind that might be the most active today?
I think the Dodgers are going to be very active today because they've got so much in capital and prospects and financially that I really think that they've got a big move in them. And right now, that's even what we're doing. We're like, I've got the board set up. You have your board of all 30 teams and the players you want to get and the players that might match. And as the days go by and the communication minimizes, you begin to pull teams off the board. And we went from 30 to about 10. And on the 10 teams, you have your players that you fit, and then you have your players that you would trade for underneath it. And so you're really starting to whittle things down to the sincere interest in the players that you have, what the return is going to be, and then you begin to have those. I've already had conversations with 4 or 5 clubs this morning, like, you want to get this deal done, here are the players. Well, what about this deal? No, we're holding right here. And honestly, Craig, you've got teams that over the years, you begin to recognize their behavioral patterns, and you just prepare for that phone call with an hour left, because there are teams that want to hedge on the potential desperation of you really wanting to move this player because of money. And so you're ready for that. You get out in front of it. Okay, what would this team, what do they want? What are they going to come for? And we've already had a circumstance like that this morning, where we were prepared for a team to call on a player that they've been laying in the weeds on for a long time, and being ready, assuming nothing, and being ready for what you want to present back to them is ultimately what my job is.
I know the war room is awaiting your return. I appreciate you doing this. Dinner at Dos Salsas is on me the next time there, and I appreciate everything, as always, your contributions.
Hey, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Craig, I want to end with this. Hey, congratulations on you and what you did for the Horn, and how you cultivated the culture of that radio station, and just what you brought to that station and the Austin Radio Network. And you should be very proud of your work there. And and I know that God's got great things ahead for you. So I wish you the best of luck, and I can't wait to be a part of it.
Thank you, brother. You will be. I appreciate the time as always. Hey, good hunting today.
Okay, thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. That's Gene Watson, who is our MLB insider. Gino, of course, assistant general manager of the Kansas City Royals. So glad to have Gino be able to weigh in with that. Busy time. Definitely busy times. The trade deadline is a little over 6.5 hours to ringing in. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Astros get a deal done for Justin Verlander, or if the Rangers get some. The Rangers have been busy, obviously. So we'll see. We'll see where else it goes. So thanks so much to Gene Watson joining us there. And somebody on the Specs text line said, in 1983, I was in Chicago for a Cardinals-Cubs game. On Sunday, I was in the TWA Ambassadors Club. This was pre-cell phone time. I was sharing a sofa with Joe McDonald, the Cardinals GM. He was on a landline and said, "You want who?" The next day, Keith Hernandez was traded to the Mets. That's a great remembrance there. All right. So again, to reset what we're doing here, coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll have our first Longhorn notebook of this final day of the program. So we will have that. We do have one final edition of Inconceivable. So we have that coming up a little later on this hour. And next hour, my top 10 Longhorn football broadcasting memories. It's games that I was a part of, because if you say, what are the top 10 Texas Longhorn football moments of all time? Well, obviously, in addition to the ones that I've been blessed and had the privilege to call, there's other ones that I was not a part of, like the shootout in 1969, which was my first memory of first time I can recall seeing anything Texas Longhorn related, the big shootout with Arkansas in 69. I remember watching that in my parents' living room with my uncle, who was from Texas. And it was talking, and he pointed out, he said, there's the great Darrell Royal, the head coach of the Longhorns. And that's Frank Broyles, who's the big head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. And I didn't like the snarling pig on the side of the Razorback of the Arkansas helmet. So I automatically went for Texas and just became a Longhorn fan that day back in 1969. That would be a top 10 all-time, obviously, Texas Longhorn football. 1963 national championship, the Noble Doss impossible catch against Texas A&M. All of that would factor in. I just meant top 10 moments for me as a broadcaster in the booth, because I've been asked that several times. And so today is the day I'll let you know that. Also, as I say, today is the day you have the opportunity to ask me whatever you want to ask me. Now, if I can answer it, I certainly will. There may be some things that I either don't know the answer to it, or can't answer it, or might choose not to based on how it's asked and phrased and all that sort of stuff. But I'm going to give you the opportunity at least to load up the Specs text line and to do that. Also, like I said, we'll give away a copy of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine each hour. Okay, so let me see if I can sift through some of this. Here's starting at the bottom. What's your celebratory beverage or bottle of choice? Going to enjoy a pour in honor of you tonight. Thanks for everything. My mornings won't be the same. Celebratory beverage or bottle of choice. I like iced tea. I like a good ice-cold orange crush. If we're talking about something of the distilled, or if it's of the fermented variety, I like a nice glass of Cab with dinner, or a nice Chianti. I know what I do. I know who I just sounded like there. I enjoyed his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. I've never eaten another person's liver, or I do like fava beans, though. I've had those before. But I like Chianti with pasta. And if it's a distilled beverage, I like either a really nice single malt Scotch on the rocks with just a little tiny splash of water, or if it's going to be a blended one, I'm a Johnny Walker Black guy. So Johnny Walker Black would be the brand. So that's what the deal is with that. Here's another. Craig, when did you know you wanted to do this career? Was there one specific moment where it absolutely clicked? I think so. I was in middle school. Well, technically in middle school, even though in North Carolina, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade were junior high, which, of course, equates to middle school. But then, as now, your 9th grade academic record counted as your freshman academic year in high school. So it did do that. However, it was in a separate building. And I know like Stony Point's had a 9th grade campus. Some of the other schools around here have had 9th grade campuses. Some have 9th and 10th grade. It's same type of thing. And on our campus, we had, and the more I think about this, I mean, this is going back, it'll be 50 years for me next year. Year after. The 2024-2025 academic and athletic school year. So it would be starting next fall, would be 50 years removed from this. But my junior high school, but only the 9th graders who were part of the high school curriculum, ran a closed circuit television studio. And we put on every morning live, televised, to the homerooms in our school, 1,600 kids in our home, in our junior high, a live news, weather, and sportscast. 30-minute. Had a couple of features in it as well. 3-camera shoot in the studio, black and white back in the day, since it was just starting out. But we did that. I auditioned for and got the sports anchor job, and did it. And we did this newscast every morning. And I delivered the sports. So I was 14 at the time. So I kind of knew it then. What really clicked in is late in that school year, we did a live telecast of the homeroom basketball tournament championship game. It was Miss Unger's homeroom against Mr. Busick's homeroom. And I got to do play-by-play on that. And that was the first time I ever really did play-by-play. And Mr. Busick's room won 21-14. I think Greg Willard was the high scorer in that game. Anyway, it was that's when the play-by-play bug really and truly bit me for that. So I would say that when I was in middle school. Let's see. When somebody was asking about thank you, CB, ever loyal CB, for the person who asked about finding the Horn app on Android. Google Play Store, you'll find it there. What's the origin of say goodnight to this one? again, it goes back to high school stuff, and it was it was just something that accidentally happened. I was doing games on KRLD in Dallas. We were doing a high school game of the week, and this was in 1989. It was Mesquite against Spruce. And Spruce High School had a running back / receiver / defensive back named Carl Richardson. He was really good. He went on and played at the University of Miami. And he had scored on what today would be described as a jet sweep, kind of an end-around type thing with a flip. And he went 80 yards for a touchdown. And I called it in a conventional manner or whatever. And then in the third quarter, they ran the exact same play, and he did the exact same thing, this time from 56 yards out. And as he was clear down the sidelines, I could see nobody was going to catch him. And it just popped in my mind to say goodnight to this one because nobody was going to catch him. And it just happened. And Brad Sham, who was my boss at the time, said, "Where'd you come up with that?" And I thought he was going to give me some grief about it. And I said, it just came to me. He said, "That's when the best things happen, when they just come to you organically." He said, "So good on you." So that's where it happened. And I don't ever plan to say it, but it does come to me in the moment if I can see that nobody's going to catch up to somebody. I've been bitten by it, I think, once, where I said, "Say goodnight," and then I could see the guy coming at an angle. I said, "Unless so-and-so can catch him," and he ran him down at the 1-yard line. So it happens, that sort of thing. My question for you is, how much does the University of Texas pay you for all your sports broadcasting? Not one dime. That's the honest to God truth. The University of Texas doesn't pay me. So there you go. Thanks for making 2 hours of the workday easier to get through. Said, "I'm assuming you've been to Lockhart. Which barbecue joint is your favorite?" I love them all. And I have eaten at all of them. I've eaten at Black's. Now, I've not been down to the new Terry Black's down there, and I need to do that because I love Terry Black's on Barton Springs. But Kreitz's, Smitty's, Chisholm Trail. There were times that I liked different ones for different things. Like I like the buffet at Chisholm Trail, but I like the sausage at Black's, and I might like the brisket at Kreitz's or Smitty's, So I really enjoyed all of them and still do to this day. All right, that's a sampling of stuff. I'm going to get to more of your questions. That's what today is about anyway. I did want to get that update on the trade deadline. We do have a Longhorn notebook coming up. We will have a Flex 30 update next hour as the computer will tell you who it thinks the best high school football teams in the state are going into the year. But right now, be caller number 5. You win a copy of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine. 512-447-3776. 512-447-3776 to win a copy of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine from the Horn.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question, but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
This is Light the Tower on the Horn. I did not know that this song, Good Riddance from Green Day, was a personal favorite of our producer, Happy Jack Farrell. How about that?
Yeah, Green Day, man. Like my favorite band from ages, 12 to 14. Huge,
Was it?
One of the last rock bands that still existed towards the end of my adolescence.
My wife, Linda, who is here to witness this final day, she's, were you a Green Day fan, or your daughter, Laura, a Green Day fan?
I think we both were.
Wait a minute. Let's get a mic on now.
Oh. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we both were. We both like Green Day.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you've been kind of keeping an eye on the Specs text line, which has been pretty busy. I'm going to hop back on it here in a minute.
I know.
What are you
Everyone's
seeing?
been so friendly and welcoming to me. That was really surprising.
Careful.
Really appreciate that. I appreciate that.
No, it's good, and I'm glad folks have been welcoming
Yes.
here on this final
Very
day.
sweet.
Let's roll into our Longhorn Notebook, and so it's the first of our final two Longhorn Notebooks, and this one is basically about more football preseason stuff, because that is, after all, what we're talking. It's the whole preseason right now. High school football practices are underway. Tomorrow, the Longhorns hit the field for practice. Right now, as we speak, Sark is doing his camp opening press conference over on campus right now. And toward that end, two more Longhorns have come in for preseason honors. The Maxwell Award is one of those National Player of the Year awards. And I've had a lot of people ask me and ask us over the years, and not just me or not just Jeff, but also others who have worked here on the station, about the retired numbers inside of DKR Texas Memorial Stadium. And it requires winning a National Player of the Year award, not necessarily the Heisman Trophy. As long as it's a National Player of the Year award. For example, Vince Young won a Walter Camp Award and a Maxwell Award, and his name up there. But that didn't, of course, include the Heisman Trophy. But of course, Ricky Williams and Earl Campbell's names are up there as Heisman Trophy winners. Well, Xavier Worthy and Quinn Ewers both have had their names placed on the watch list for the Maxwell Award, which is given to the College Player of the Year since 1937, 1 year after the Heisman started. And X was named to the preseason watch list for the second straight year, and Quinn Ewers named to the watch list for the first time in his career. So that's just, more that, and as we know, Linda and I stopped at Starbucks on the way in, and that and $6.15 will get you what Linda has from Starbucks. You want to tell everybody what your beverage of choice is from Starbucks?
Yeah, it's not too fussy. I mean,
some would say. Go on.
So triple grande, non-fat.
All right. First of all, triple grande, for folks who don't know what that means.
3 shots.
That's 3 shots of espresso. All right. And a grande, which is the medium-sized drink, the 16-ounce, right?
Yes.
All right. So 3 shots of espresso into that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Non-fat milk.
Okay. Non-fat. Yeah.
2 raw sugars.
And then two packets of sugar in the raw stirred in.
Yes.
Triple grande,
That's it.
non-fat, 2 raw sugar latte. I have learned about that from her over time. It was like, if we're going to get married, you're going to have to learn this, and so I did. So
you're a quick study, so
try to be. Okay, back to the text line, because I know several of you have questions. Like I said, I'll get to as many as I can today, and it's quite simple. If you have something you've always wanted to ask me, or just something that occurred to you to ask me before I get done here at the Horn, what will it be? Longhorn fan in Denton says, what's your favorite place to eat all time in Denton? I know you mentioned Independent Hamburger Company. That'd be right up there. I used to love to go to Texas Pickup when it was there. and they get caught fire later and in there. But Denton Independent Hamburger Company, Mike Barnett and his crew, they do a great job there. Linda lived in Denton for several years. Was there a specific place you liked more than any other?
Oh, Denton Independent Hamburger Company was really on my list for sure.
Skip Johnson, the head coach at Oklahoma, was a big DIC guy. I also, when I was up there, liked going out. It's no longer in business anymore. The Clay Pot Eatery in Crum, where you could just eat tons, and they had that big giant block of cheese on your table, and you would get that, eat off of that. The Ponder Steakhouse and Club, where not only could you get a good steak, but you could get alligator, calf fries, lamb fries, rattlesnake, and then other corn-fed beef too.
I think this was after your time, but Mr. Chopsticks.
Mr. Chopsticks
Was best chicken fried rice you ever
came
had.
after me. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
For sure.
Wife and I are expecting our first child come October. Any advice for a new father to be? This is going to sound a little cheeky, but there's really some truth in it. Most of the time, do whatever your wife says on that. And the only reason I say that, it was going to sound cheeky, but here's what I mean by that. There's a constructive purpose by that. She has a better handle on what's going on with the newborn and how to deal with the newborn. So if she says, go and do this, go and do it. I will also add this. Try not to over freak out early on little things. Trust your instincts on a lot, but try not to, worry too much if the child sleeps a little more or not as much as you think. And I know you can read all the guides and things like that. Is there anything you would add to that, Linda, about
I think that's great advice.
Okay. Yeah. To listen to the mom. Okay. All right. Yeah. So there's that. All right. Where did the nicknames Zeke and Zonk come from? I don't think I ever heard the stories from Greg Swindell and Keith Moreland. Thanks. I'll miss hearing your voice. I forgot the Zeke story. And if he's listening, Zeke, you can let me know. For Keith, Zonk, it was a nickname given him, the character Zonk, from Mike Schmidt when he played with the Phillies. Here's one of my favorite gravy food items. Loco Moco, a staple in Hawaii. Yes, it is. Bed of white rice, 1 pound Angus beef patty, 2 sunny side eggs, and top of brown gravy. So good. Must try if you've ever out there. I've been out there. I have tried it. I completely agree with you. I have a sister who lives in Kona. My late mom, who passed away last November, lived out there as well. And I tried the Loco Moco and loved it. I like the pancakes, the macadamia nut and with coconut syrup pancakes better, but I had that the next day. The Loco Moco is really good on that. Somebody, you had me at Grandy's Gravy and Rolls. That was it, Gene Watson. Haven't thought about Grandy's in years, somebody else mentioned. Randy from Ohio moved out here 8 years ago in sales. I do quite a bit of driving, listening to you and Jeff. Thank you. You would thank you. Somebody said they don't sell old shoes because we had that one promo where I said I like gravy so much. I said I would have gravy on an old shoe or a hockey puck or something like that. From Matt, went to my first Longhorn basketball game this year. Good for you. As I sat there, I wondered, where is Craig Way? And there he was, 7 rows in front of me, doing his job like he always does. Made me think of the job he's done in the past, present, future. I appreciate that. Thank you. And it's in a lot of cases, I have the best seat in the house. Not always. Texas, I have great broadcast positions. Other places in the Big 12, some are better than others, some significantly better than others, or more to the point, some significantly lower and not nearly as good as others. I'm looking at you, TCU. Name the sport. The football booths in the lower, it's in a low point and down in the corner of an end zone right near the speaker there. But you adjust. We've talked about the baseball broadcast position for visiting radio being up in the stands. Actually, that can get interesting. Dan the Man, thank you for the kind words. As fellow Dodger fans who say go blue, I say congratulations to you and Linda on your partnership. Hey, I hope that they do make a deal today. I don't know. I mean, of course, Gene's in on that stuff. He hears it. Mentors, says the Mercer Mafia. The 2 big mentors in my life, you mentioned Bill Mercer, 96 years and still cranking out hilarious emails. that I get from him from time to time. Bill Mercer, who was he's a World War II veteran on a gunboat in the Pacific there. He always told this story about how if you're a follower or a devotee of U.S. history, and especially military history in World War II, you know that famous shot of General MacArthur wading ashore, the famous I shall return thing of the Philippines in 1944, and the cameras are showing him wading. Bill Mercer was with a gunboat crew that he said was 100 yards up the shore, and he said the Japanese were still shooting at us. He said we'd cleared off enough of a beachhead for MacArthur to get Wade ashore and have the Stars and Stripes cameras shooting all that, and then they got him out of there pretty quickly while it went. But he was a great broadcaster, did the Dallas Cowboys in the 60s. He called the Cowboys broadcast of the Ice Bowl, but he was more than that. He was also a great newsman. It was one of the reporters on duty for KRLD TV and television with the Kennedy assassination, which is coming up on its 60th anniversary in November, and was interviewed for a big documentary that's coming up on that, and was a co-author along with three other gentlemen of a book called When the News Went Live. And if you haven't read that book, it's a great book on the Kennedy assassination weekend. But he was did the Dallas Cowboys and did their play-by-play through their first Super Bowl victory, then moved over because he was always, he said, a baseball guy at heart, was the Texas Rangers' first broadcaster. In 72 and 73, worked with Don Drysdale, then worked with the late Dick Reisenhoover, who came in and worked with him there. He went to Chicago, worked with Harry Carey on the White Sox for a couple of years, which he said were largely forgettable years, working with Harry Carey. But he taught at North Texas for over 40 years and was the voice of the University of North Texas, Mean Green Eagles, for 35 years. He was my first mentor, obviously Brad Sham, my boss for 7 years, and learned an awful lot from him, and still do to this day, and we stay in regular contact. Those are two of my mentors. All right, so there's some sampling of it. I'm going to get to as many of your texts, because I said this is for you today. You can ask me whatever you want to ask me, and I'll try to get to as much as I can all the way through the rest of the show. Up next, one final inconceivable when we continue to Light the Tower on the Horn, 1049, 1019, AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com. One final time on this program, you get a chance to hear me tell you about my good friend John Hardy and his great staff at Divided Sky Roofing and Solar. We know they do great roofs, but they're also a full-service solar company. So as hot as it is right now, what is it, 50-something days in a row where we've been at or above 100 degrees or something like that, a lot of it, we're in our hottest season. And that's when the higher power bills start arriving. Why not be prepared and save money this summer with a new Timberline solar shingle roof? Maybe you already have a solar system, but you don't have a backup battery. At that point, you're kind of wasting money a little bit, because with a backup battery, you're able to use all of the power you make instead of giving it back to the power company. And the batteries are covered by the Inflation Reduction Act, so you get that tax credit, and we can all certainly use that. John and his staff are solar experts. They can repair and service your existing solar system. Those other roofers you hear about are just selling you a solar roof. Divided Sky Roofing and Solar can repair and service your existing solar system. They really are a true resource. They can help extend the life of your system, and all of the crew members are master electricians. The crew at Divided Sky are also NABCET certified. That's the solar version of being a master plumber. Why not trust your roofing and solar needs to the experts, our friends at Divided Sky Roofing and Solar? You can call them, 512-995-ROOF, and it's TEC license number 37397. Check them out on the web at dividedskyAustin.com. When the wind blows high, and we know it will again, call our friends at Divided Sky Roofing and Solar. One final time, it will mean all manner of things inconceivable. And I want to start with something that I meant to get to the other day, did not have a chance to get to it, but my youngest son, Jason, brought it up at the dinner table last night. And I got to say, pretty much grossed out the missus. And we'll get your comments on this, Linda. First of all, let me ask Jack, how are you on, like, candy? You like candy?
I'm not a huge sweets guy, but I'm also not opposed generally.
Where do you stand with Skittles?
The older I get, the less I'm a fan, I would say.
Would this change your fandom any way, shape, or form to know that there's a brand new flavor of Skittles, mustard flavor?
You know what? Anytime I see something gross like that, my inclination is I need to try that. Like if I am at a bar or something,
just to see how truly bad it is.
The pickle juice beer, I'm gonna try it.
Yeah,
I'll go try anything once, and I like mustard. I like yellow mustard, brown mustard.
Yeah.
The Bijan mustardson was delicious when they had that. So I'm all in. I will try a mustard Skittle.
So would I. Let me tell you who won't.
Hard pass.
But you don't like mustard as it stands.
I don't like yellow mustard.
Okay, you like brown mustard. So you'd be okay with the Bijan mustardson, but not yellow.
But not a Skittle.
Okay.
No mustard should be a Skittle.
Okay, all right. So on National Mustard Day last weekend, they created mustard Skittles. Nabisco did. French's did, excuse me. It said, we've added our own flavorful shade of yellow to this fun-sized staple, crafting a sweet and savory treat that's sure to tang up your taste buds. No?
No.
Okay, all right.
Not for me.
All right, okay. I'm just kind of curious about that. And apparently there's somebody who agrees with you, a columnist who in Minneapolis, whose headline is, "Mustard and Skittles is the devil's work," is what he says.
That's a good way of putting it.
It says, Skittles candy is releasing a new flavor, mustard. Why? What sins have we committed to deserve these sadistic confectionery combos? This is the point where someone says, actually, mustard candy is quite popular in Scandinavia. And you say, sure, they probably have herring popsicles, but this is America, where mustard and candy occupied the never the twain shall meet category. So that was how his column went with that. I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm just saying, I'm willing to try it and just see. Meanwhile, it wouldn't be a inconceivable, even the final one ever on this radio station, without a fast food. No. Jack, Whataburger?
Oh yeah, my first job, I love Whataburger. I swear swear by it. It's my number one.
Did you you said your first job?
Yep.
You worked at Whataburger?
17 years old. I worked at the Whataburger on Anderson Lane right here in Austin.
I know the one you're talking about. All right. What's your favorite Whataburger?
The Monterey Melt.
Oh, really?
Monterey Melt, easy. I
Is that a
pray
seasonal
every
deal now?
night. It was an all-time favorite.
Yeah.
They took it away from me.
That's how I'm
and
with
I
Chop
haven't
House
had it in
Cheddar
years. That's another one. Those are the two that people always say, bring those back.
Yeah.
But yes, Whataburger, hard yes.
Well, National Whataburger Day is coming up, where the Active Rewards members who have the app can enjoy a free Whataburger through the app next Monday and Tuesday, no purchase. So Linda had an appointment with the doctor the other day, and then when I went to pick her up afterwards, you were hungry.
Yeah.
What did we do?
We went to Whataburger.
Went to Whataburger.
Of course.
Yeah. And Linda doesn't normally have a real big appetite, so like a Whataburger Junior is enough, sometimes even more than enough for her. Yeah, she got halfway through a patty melt.
It was good.
She's hungry, so.
I like
love the
that
patty melt.
Pepper sauce.
The creamy pepper,
Yeah,
yes.
that's
I
it.
buy that at HEB all the time.
Yeah.
With the patty melt, I add the grilled jalapenos along with the grilled onions.
She likes the chopped
primo.
onions on that.
Yes.
And then the thing I tried the other day, they apparently have a BLT now. And I tried it. It was pretty good. Yeah. So anyway, National Whataburger Day, and that's coming up. I got two other things. One, it's kind of gross, but it's kind of important to mention this. Even though this isn't Friday, and you know what we do on Friday? What do we do on Friday with Inconceivable?
Florida man, or is this the flaccidity?
Yeah. Flaccidity. Yeah, it's the the most flaccid of the lower 48, as Jeff would say. This isn't about a specific Florida man or woman, but it could get to it, and it kind of almost seems logical that it would happen in Florida. According to a letter published by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, we all became very, very familiar with the CDC during the pandemic if you weren't before. Florida is seeing a rise in cases of leprosy. Yeah, leprosy.
Wow.
As in the biblical sense. Yeah. You always remember that line from MASH where they were where Hawkeye was kind of offending Father Mulcahy because he was on like a bathing strike and he wasn't bathing. And Father Mulcahy asked him to move down and he said, Jesus ate with the lepers. And he said, well, he was an extremely good sport. And so Florida is seeing a rise in leprosy cases, that the disease is becoming endemic in the Sunshine States, also known as Hansen's disease, caused by a bacteria, Mycobacterium leprae, and characterized by the discolored patches of skin, ulcers, lumps, and damage to the nerves. CDC says if untreated, the disease can progress to paralysis, blindness, the loss of one's eyebrows, physical disfigurement, and even the shortening of toes and fingers due to reabsorption. So they said disease first appeared in the state in 1921. 159 cases were reported in 2020. Florida was at the top of the list of the states with the most new cases. So just understand something else to keep in mind about Florida, if you had it down there. Leprosy is on the rise. Okay, so the final thing I have here, because this is the last Florida man thing, and it's the final ever Inconceivable. I thought I'd go back and revisit what are called the 9 greatest Florida man headlines of all time. These are the headlines. Okay? These are the 9 greatest ones. Here's one. Number 1. Florida man threw live gator in Wendy's drive-thru window. I remember we did that story. But a guy he chucked an alligator through the drive-thru window. According to his court case, the man professed that he'd done it simply because. So his sentence was not very long as well, but there it was. Florida cop claims Burger King put dirt on his food.
Wow.
Now, I understand if there's something that turns you off to Burger King, but to say that, serious investigations took place. It revealed to be just seasoning. That's what it was. It was seasoning.
Not dirt.
No. Inmate insists syringes pulled from rectum aren't his. I don't know how they got there. Not my syringes.
That's a classic circumstance we all find ourselves in.
Absolutely.
That's Tuesday.
Yeah. Drunken Florida man on Segway charged with DUI. On a Segway. Can happen. Florida man tries to evade arrest by cartwheeling away from cops. I'm going to get away from you. I'm just going to do cartwheels. I'm just going to keep doing cartwheels. I'm going to get away from you. Eventually captured. Received a charge for battery of an officer. Yeah. Florida man calls 911, says he needs a ride to Hooters. Got to get there in time for that.
That's an emergency.
Florida couple trapped in an unlocked closet for 2 days.
Unlocked.
We're trapped. How about turn the door and open the door? Florida man posing as an officer pulls over an off-duty sheriff's deputy. And the reason why I stopped you is, why did you stop me? Well, it did turn out to be an actual police car, and so it led to his arrest. And finally, Florida man attempting to time travel crashes into a strip mall. He was arrested after driving his car into a in an attempt to time travel. In the way that's done, he was trying to do 88 miles per
Back
hour.
to the future?
Get the 1 million gigawatts of electricity. He went straight into the mall. Yeah, didn't work. Was he driving a DeLorean? I don't know. It just says he's driving his car. So there's your the top 9 Florida man headlines. My top 10 Longhorn football broadcast moments are coming up, and more of the questions you've always wanted to ask me here when we continue with Light the Tower here on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9, AM 1260, on the Horn app and at hornfm.com. A whole hour.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. I'll take pictures of you.
One final round we go. Final hour ever of Light the Tower on the Horn. You know, some people say never say never or whatever, and I do believe that, by the way, in the never say never category about a lot of things. I can tell you with complete confidence that in the case of this particular program, it is the last one ever. It doesn't mean that we won't cross paths again, and I'll get to that a little later on. But in this particular setting and scenario, and in this particular environment and all of that. This will be the last 50 minutes of this program. So I'm been blessed to have all that, and we'll get to more of that. We will give giveaway another copy of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine during this hour of the program. We'll do that as well. And coming up here in just a few moments, my top 10 all-time Longhorn football broadcasting moments, at least through 2022. That's the beautiful thing, is that there's more great moments waiting to happen out there for Texas Longhorn football. Steve Sarkisian just finished his camp opening news conference, went a full hour, did Sark, on that press conference there. So, but before I get to that, I want to get to a few more of your questions. Folks asking me on the Specs text line. I said on this final program, you could ask me whatever you wanted to ask. I might not have an answer on some, or I might not have exactly the answer that you want, but I'll do my best on some of those. So here's one. It says, Craig, you've been in my car or my ear for as long as I can remember. It says Coach Meyer from Concordia. Yep, remember Coach Meyer. Can't wait to listen to the future for all of you. Long time fan. I appreciate that. Of course, I will continue on doing play-by-play for the Texas Longhorns. Somebody said, I've enjoyed listening to you since 2000, I think, when you had a show with Bill Schoening in the afternoons. We did. We did a show from 97 to 01. I first came down to live in Austin in 97. I've been on the Longhorn broadcast in one form or another since 1988. So it's in any idea if we'll have the Longhorn Weekly shows or podcasts. Longhorn Weekly will be returning, and that will, like the games, will be on iHeartMedia in Austin. So we will have Steve Sarkisian's first show, Longhorn Weekly, with Coach Sark. And pretty sure that'll be at Pluckers again. And that'll come up in late August there before the season begins. Elio says, thanks for these last 3 years on this station. Honor to listen to your game. My question for you, your favorite meal that your wife, Linda, makes for you? Well, let me put the question to her first. What would you say that is my favorite meal that you have prepared for me that I ask for?
I would say tuna noodle casserole. That's your favorite.
It'd probably be it. She's really good with it. And I know right now some people are going, ew, tuna noodle casserole. Yeah. She does a great job with that. Also like the chopped steak with the brown gravy.
Right.
And the mushroom. It's pretty good. Sometimes Linda and I have what we call 1965 dinner, where we'll have fish sticks,
macaroni and cheese,
mac and cheese,
yeah.
and like mixed vegetables, right? Yeah.
Little cube carrots.
Yeah. So we'll have that. We'll call it 1965 dinner. Yeah. So we do that. But she's a great cook. She makes a lot of things that are really, really good. She makes a Guinness, correct me if I'm wrong, Guinness stout chocolate cake. Is that the best way to describe it?
Yeah, that's it.
That is just awesome. It doesn't taste like Guinness because I'm not a real big fan of Guinness, but boy, does it give it body. It's great. Daryl, I've always wondered, have you ever done play-by-play or been the PA announcer for an auto race? One time at Thunderhill Raceway in Kyle, I got to do it one time, and I enjoyed that. I had that a lot of time. Sal in New York. Great to hear from Sal. Did you ever attend a no-hitter or a perfect game? If not, what was your biggest near miss? Oh, yeah. Nolan Ryan's 7th no-hitter, May 1st, 1991. I went there to the ballpark that night in Arlington for two reasons. One, it was my best friend Alex's 30th birthday. But the other reason I went was because Brad Sham had always done the Ranger Report, little daily update with Bobby Valentine the next day. Well, Brad had already left because the Cowboy games had left. So someone else was due to do it, maybe Chuck Cooperstein, I can't remember, but they couldn't do it that day. So I took my tape recorder with me to the ballpark, even though I sat in the bleachers for the first 6 innings of the ball game. And at the end of 6 innings, I turned to Alex and some of the other friends we had there, and I said, I got to get down there close because this looks like this dude's going to pitch a no-hitter. And I went around, zipped around, and I got down 4 rows from the field between home plate and first base there at Old Arlington Stadium and sat there for the last 3 innings of Nolan Ryan's no-hitter. And if you look really closely, you see extended video of all the people milling about, the media I'm out there on the deal. And so I was there for that. Got to call Adrian Alanis's no-hitter for Texas against Oklahoma, and that was an awful lot of fun. I really enjoyed that in the National Championship 2005 season. Question, do you consider yourself a homer for UT Sports? I don't. I consider myself the hometown announcer. And there is a difference. And Brad Sham laid it out to me. He said you can be the home team or hometown announcer without necessarily being a homer. Being a homer would constitute the fact that your team never did anything wrong, that it's always us against them, we against they, and that you're always either screwed over by the officials or the other team or something, that it's never your team's fault. That would be along the lines of a homer. I am realistic enough to know that. But I will also say this. If you hear me call a Texas Longhorn game, there's no mistaking in my voice the lilt that'll get there when they make a big play. But I also believe in giving credit to the other team when they make a big play. Mac Brown told me one time, he said, I will never, ever have a problem with you crediting somebody for making a big play. Because Bill Schoening and I asked him after remember the famous Roy Williams Superman play where he jumps over and he hits Chris Sims and causes the fumble and all that. And we both said it was a spectacular play by Williams. Not some gigantic fault on the part of Chris Sims. He gets hit from the blind side. The guy shakes the ball loose. Teddy Lehman plucks it out of the air and scores a touchdown. And Mac heard the call because somebody brought his attention. He said, I got no problem with that. He said he's giving the guy credit for making a play. So, that sort of thing. T-Bone, how long do you plan on being the voice of the Longhorns? As long as I can do it and enjoy it, and as long as they'll have me doing it and are happy with me doing it. So there. Craig, should I fake an orgasm? You'd probably have to take that up with your partner, I would say. But if you're considering it, maybe you really do need to have a discussion with your partner. Let me just say that. Top 3 Texas high school football state championships that you've called. See, that's one of the keys to broadcasting, folks, is that you can transition from a fake orgasm to calling a high school state championship game, right? Or at least dealing with the question of it. Top 3, I would say the Hutto Tatum 2005 3A Division II state championship game that Keith Moreland and I called for radio. It was a 41-38 game, a spectacular game. And it was 2 weeks before we called the 41-38 Texas win over USC in the Rose Bowl for the national championship. Number 2 would probably be the Hail Mary game, Galena Park North Shore against Duncanville in 2018. And number 1, I've said all along, the year prior to that, in 2017, Highland Park Manville 50-49, incredible back-and-forth game that ended after Highland Park had recovered an onside kick, rallied, took the lead, and then the long pass to Jalen Preston. He's tackled at the 1-yard line to end the game. That would probably be number 1. So there's that. Being in North Carolina, if you had to choose, would you pick the Tar Heels or the Blue Devils? I grew up as a Carolina fan. Big Carolina fan when I was a kid. Really did. Craig, when was the first time you said light the tower? It was the 2002 national championship. And the story behind that for baseball was that I'd had people like, what are you going to say if they win? What are you going to say if they win? And I've always said, if you try to plan something like that out, at least me, chances are I'd mess it up or it wouldn't come out right or something. So I always believed it had to be something that came to you in the moment organically. In that 9th inning, Texas and South Carolina, Keith Moreland brought it out of the break, and then he went down to the field to get ready for the postgame interviews. Houston Street's on the mound for Texas. The leadoff man reaches, I believe, on a base hit. And then the next guy hits a comebacker to the mound, and Street starts a 1-4-3 double play. All of a sudden, there's 2 down. They're 1 out away. and a guy stepping into the box for South Carolina, and I thought, what are you going to say? And the only thing that popped into my mind was Keith talking about flying home with the team after winning the 1975 national championship and seeing the tower lit orange. And on the very next pitch, guy hits a ground ball to Tim Moss at second. He throws to Jeff Onoveris. The late Jeff Onoveris scoops it up and races to the bag. Light the tower orange. The Texas Longhorns are college baseball's national champions. That's where it came from. Just in the moment. And it's important for me to try to stay in the moment. Somebody asked about the say goodnight to this one. I mentioned that last hour. It started in a high school game, and it happened organically there. What is Jeff's plan? Going to miss his Longhorn insider knowledge. Jeff, you can still catch Jeff not only with his outstanding work at Horns 24/7, but also on his podcast, on the Longhorn Blitz podcast with Rod Babers, and also with Matt Butler. My good friend Rodney Rodriguez, Revved Up Rodney, says, I'll cherish my time at the Horn. Rodney was just here yesterday. Looking forward to seeing you down the road. Same here. John Becker, which sport do you personally enjoy calling the most? It's the cop-out answer for broadcasters, but it really does have a real thread of truth. I always say it's what's in season. And here's what I mean by that. It's not just, whatever's in season. For me, when I'm calling a game, there's kind of a physiological takeover inside of me, as well as an emotional or mental, whatever takeover, that in the springtime, and when I'm in Omaha calling a College World Series game, I'm not thinking about calling a football game at DKR. Conversely, if I'm at DKR and I'm calling a Longhorn football game, and there's nothing quite like that, the thrill of a huge game on a Saturday evening on the 40 acres there at Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium, I'm not thinking about any other sport. But in the Elite Eight game, when Texas is playing Miami, there's no place I'd rather be with a game with a trip to the Final Four on the line. So you're mentally in the moment, and as well as physically. And I think you need to be that way as a broadcaster. So that's really my answer. Like I said, it may sound like a little bit of a cop-out, announcer cop-out, but it is true. Slick here, sometimes TV announcers tell us they met with the coaches during the week to get a handle on the team, what they might do. Do you get a briefing of what might be coming to help you prepare? I do. Visit with Sark every week. We have a conversation before games. So, yes, I do. Same thing with the coaches in the other sports. Austin High alumni here. Number one, where does the Maroons mascot nickname rank on your mascot list? Probably a top 20, I'd say, but there's so many weird, unique ones, Maroons actually is a relatively common mascot name, but it's still, I like the mascot itself.
Mr. Maru.
Yeah,
Big
there you
fan
go,
of
Mr. Maru. Absolutely. Number two, in all your travels and broadcasting, have you come across any other teams nicknamed the Maroons? Yes, I'd have to think about it, but I have done another high school game. And, the University of Chicago, which was a college football national champion back at one time in the early 20th century and produced the first ever Heisman Trophy winner, Jay Berwanger. They're the Maroons on that. Golf Lingo says, I have a dream to add audio to sports memorabilia. I'd love to include you in your thoughts. That would be unique. I would say that. Your favorite city to eat and your favorite restaurant throughout your career. That would be difficult. For breakfast, I really love Joe's Coffee Shop in Irving. Yeah, in Irving. Yeah, it's really good. Although Tudor's Biscuit World in Morgantown is pretty solid. And also very good is the Machine Shed in Urbandale, Iowa. It is a suburb of Des Moines. The Pancake House on Avenue Q in Lubbock is fabulous. So those are good breakfast options. For dinner, right here in town, Vince Young Steakhouse is fabulous. It's great. Out of town, I haven't had a better steak than Burns in Tampa. It's fabulous. I took Linda there. You went there. Did you like the steak at Burns?
It was outstanding.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. But I've had to. What's the one in Kansas City? It'll come to me, and because I just ate there last fall with Keith Moreland. So it's. I started to say Sirloin Stockade. It's not Sirloin Stockade. That's there in Round Rock. But anyway, those are both good. Do you have any game day traditions? Asked Stanley. Get there on time. Try to get there as early as possible, especially in football because of the traffic issue. Other than that, just getting my charts, properly printed, produced, ready, and sitting up there and doing it, making myself comfortable. Mike from Buda, your travels in Texas, your favorite place for chicken fried steak, also for cheese enchiladas. Chicken fried steak, if you want a giant one, you go to Mary's Cafe in Strawn. They have the biggest ones. The best ones I've had include, in no particular order, the Hilltop Cafe north of Fredericksburg, the Round Top Cafe in Round Top, Texas, and Jake and Dorothy's Cafe in Stephenville are all really good chicken fried steaks. Kind of hard to get past it. Had a good one the other night. We had dinner on the square at Good Folks.
Good folks, yeah.
Good Folks in Georgetown.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really good. It says, are y'all moving to 101.9 or staying on 104.9 is done as of 7 o'clock tonight. So what you're hearing on 104.9 is the final ever broadcasts throughout the course of today. Then they will shut down that. And then on Monday, Aaron Hogan, Rod Babers will do a 5-hour show from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. I think they're carrying Jim Rome and then Rich Eisen, and then Patrick Davis will start a show called The Sports Complex at 5 o'clock. That's the new lineup beginning on Monday. Are you looking at doing any podcast about high school sports? As Spock says at the end of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, there are always possibilities. Things are discussed pretty regularly. So somebody says, wake up every day at 2:30 a.m. for work. Definitely will miss you guys. Do you have an episode of unnecessary censorship of Craig Way? That was something Rod came up with when we were over at iHeart before, and I got to admit, it's one of those things that allows the mind the imagination to run wild. Same thing with with that ad of us, the old days at the Zone, where it's me and Bill Schoening, and it's Bucky, and it's Aaron, and it's Hugh Lewis, and it's Chad and Mark Honig and Perry Watson. We were all in this, John Madani. We're all in this thing, and it looks like we're naked. And you see us bare-chested, and you see our legs, and we're wearing black socks. But then there's a ribbon banner that covers the strategic area, and it says Total Sports Coverage. In truth, we were actually wearing shorts, but you can't tell it from that. We also had another one where we're turned around the other side, and it's covering the back side, and it says Nothing But Sports. Anyway, that it was on Billboard on I-35, won a Bum Steer Award from Texas Monthly on that. Same thing with the censorship thing. Rod would put beeps in there that would make it sound like I was cussing on the air. And the best example of that involves a couple of years ago or 3 years ago, Texas was playing Baylor in Austin. And they almost came to blows in the game. It got really, really serious. The guys were nose to nose. And I said something like, oh, here's some serious, and I just kind of dragged the S a little bit. Serious stuff. Well, it sounded just like I said serious, the other S word. I mean, but it didn't sound like that on the air. But when the bleep came over, here's some serious bleep. That was, Rod kind of figured out that kind of thing. What's the dentist name you guys are always talking about? Yeah, it's Dr. Greg Eckert. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so there's a couple of, we'll get to a couple more before we're done. Up next, we'll have a final Flex 30 update and another Longhorn update, a Longhorn notebook, a final one. We continue with Light the Tower on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9, AM 1260. Live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com. Yeah. You familiar with the little
There's a sad sort of clanging from the clock in the hall, and the bells in the steeple too. And up in the nursery, an absurd little bird is popping out to say cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. Regretfully they tell us, but firmly they compel us to say goodbye to you. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night. I hate to go and leave this pretty sight. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, adieu.
Adieu, adieu, to you and you and you.
So long, farewell, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.
I'd like to stay and taste my first champagne.
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.
I leave and heave a sigh and say goodbye,
I'm glad to go, I cannot tell a lie.
I flit, I float, I fleetly flee, I fly.
The sun has gone to bed, and so must I.
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye,
Everybody hit the high note at once, right? Okay. I light the tower here in the final 30 minutes before we get done here. And as we continue, before we get to our last Longhorn notebook, I want to get to our final ever Flex 30 update. Okay, you've heard me mention it many times over the years, the computer. What computer? The computer the computer rankings, the computer formulae that's input into the algorithm and the system by our good friend Jerry Forrest and the staff at Pigskin Prep. So the preseason Pigskin Prep rankings via the computer. This is not a vote where somebody may have a specific bias one way or another for or against a school. No, this is what the computer readings say. So here are the computer rankings of the top teams in each classification. In 6A, Duncanville, defending state champ. They're projecting to win the state title in Division I. Galena Park North Shore is number 2. DeSoto, who is the preseason pick to defend its state championship, just like Duncanville in Division I. DeSoto in Division II is 3rd. Westlake is 4th. Katy 5. Spring Westfield 6. Vandegrift is actually Westlake is 6. Katy 7. Spring Westfield 8. Vandegrift 9. South Lake Carroll number 10. And actually South Lake Carroll number 9. And at the number 10 spot is Atascocita. So let me do that again because I was looking at the wrong column. Duncanville 1, North Shore 2, DeSoto 3, Westlake 4, Katy 5, Spring Westfield 6, Vandegrift is 7th, South Lake Carroll 8, Denton Guyer 9, Atascocita 10. Lake Travis is 11th in the preseason 6A computer rankings. Dripping Springs number 23, Round Rock number 35. So that is 6A. Now, 5A, of course, goes to, separate categories. It goes to the separate divisions, Division I and Division II. In Division I, Aledo, preseason number 1, followed by Longview, College Station, Lancaster, Mansfield Timberview, Smithson Valley, Frisco Lone Star, Port Arthur Memorial, Fulshear, and Frisco Reedy, the first area school in the rankings, Georgetown at number 17. In 5A Division II, the computer says that the number 1 team in the state is Melissa, followed by Argyle, or South Oak Cliff 2, the 2-time defending state champs. Argyle, Fort Bend Marshall, Liberty Hill is 5th. Then it's Port Neches Groves, Frisco Emerson, Lucas Lovejoy, Montgomery Lake Creek, and Midlothian Heritage. LBJ checks in at number 13. And then to Class 4A in the Division I 4A rankings. How about, I want to make sure I read that. Probably didn't want to get the wrong one. It is China Spring, the defending state champs, who are number 1, followed by Bernie, Chapel Hill, Stephenville, Decatur, Salina, Cal Allen of the Corpus Christi area, Anna and Kilgore and Lumberton round out the top 10. And the closest area school out of that, and I'm really having to scroll down to see if I can find the closest area school in 4A D1 because of how it all went down. But Burnett, I guess, would be highest. And that one's at number 57. Wow. Okay. That's the highest ranked 4A Division I school. I guess I'm just scrolling through this one more time to make sure. Lampasas, 31. So you could count them in there. And then in 4A Division II, the computer. These are the computer rankings. Carthage, who else? Preseason number 1, followed by Silsbee, Pleasant Grove, Cuero, Gilmer, Glen Rose, Wimberley checks in at 7, Belleville, Waco, Conley, Jasper rounds out the top 10 in 4A Division II. In 3A Division I, Franklin, Brock, Edna, Columbus, Malakoff, Lorena, Hitchcock, Bushland, Grandview, and Winsboro in your top 10. Llano checks in at number 18, highest area-ranked school in those computer rankings there. 3A Division II, it's Canadian, Gunner, Harmony, Tidehaven, Poth, Wall, Newton, Holiday, Dangerfield, and Hooks in 3A Division II. And then finally in 2A Division I, Refugio, Timpson, Hawley, Beckville, Toller, Cooper, Centerville, Crawford, Shiner, and Stratford. Mason checks in at number 13, highest ranked area school there. Holland at number 19. And then finally in the smallest division of 11-man football, 2A Division II, it's Albany, Mart, New Home, Wellington, Bremond, Collinsville, Chilton, Carlisle, Burton at 9, Falls City at 10, Granger checks in at number 16. So there it is, your, as the computer would say, top 10 rank, preseason rank. Okay, how about one final Longhorn notebook? All right, so here's the final Longhorn notebook. How about can you give me a little NFL Films music here? Because I did promise that I would do this. And because folks have asked me, what are your top 10 UT football games that you've had a chance to call or be a part of the broadcast of, that sort of thing. So I've got those down there. First of all, there are games that I worked as an analyst with Bill Schoening because I was the color analyst with Bill Schoening. We did 10 football and 9 men's basketball seasons together from 92 through 01. And during that time, I have 5 that really come to mind. Number 5, Texas 17, Virginia 16. Phil Dawson, our good friend and the head coach at Hyde Park. The 50-yard game-winning field goal into the breeze to win it. 94, the Sun Bowl, Texas 35, North Carolina 31, a Mack Brown, North Carolina coach team. And Priest Holmes with a massive day that day. That was in 1994. In 95 is number 3. Texas 16, Texas A&M 6, ending the Aggies' 31-game home winning streak and clinching the final ever Southwest Conference championship for the Longhorns. Number 2, in 1998, Texas 26, Texas A&M 24. That's Ricky Williams winning the Heisman Trophy on that final day and cementing it in the 62-yard touchdown run. And they win it on the Chris Stockton walk-off field goal. And as analyst, my favorite Longhorn broadcast to be a part of, 1996, Texas-Nebraska. Texas 37, Nebraska 27 to win the first ever Big 12 championship. Bucky Godbolt there on the sidelines suggesting roll left for James Brown to there. Now, on to the games, doing the play-by-play. These 5 are honorable mentions, okay? 2004, Texas 56, Oklahoma State 35. Remember, the Longhorns were down 35-7 late in the first half. Scored right before the half on a touchdown pass to Bo Scaife, and then in the second half scored 42 unanswered and won it 56-35. Same year, 2004, a few weeks later, Texas and Texas Tech. Longhorns had come off the loss to Oklahoma, and then the kind of a ho-hum performance and a home win over Missouri, and that's when Mack Brown and Greg Davis had the heart-to-heart with Vince Young and, turning him loose and him feeling better. Mack asked him on the field before the game, how you feeling? He said, Coach, I feel great. They had the old artificial turf surface there in Lubbock. He said, this is just like in the Astrodome. Mack Brown said, I knew I was going to be okay there. And Texas won 51-21 and went on to have that big year in 2004. More on that coming up. Honorable mention also 2005 Big 12 championship game, Texas destroying Colorado 70-3, but it was the first Big 12 championship under Mack Brown, and that's what made it important and a lot of fun in that call, that one. Number 2 would be 2006, Texas 22, Nebraska 20. Ryan Bailey, that what proved to be game-winning field goal in the snow there against Nebraska. And in the honorable mention category, number 1 would be Texas 13, Nebraska 12, the 2009 Big 12 championship. What a game it was. What a game for Ndamukong Suh in that one. Now, my top 10 in the broadcast booth doing the play-by-play. These are my personal top 10 moments. People have different favorite moments. I get that. These were just my favorite moments. Number 10 is in 2002. Texas 52, North Carolina 21. Yeah, they went back North Carolina. This was the year after the Cole Pittman Memorial game there in 2001 at home. But it was kind of a homecoming for me in my first year of doing the play-by-play. In the stadium where I used to go and watch North Carolina play and cheer for the Tar Heels as a kid. And to go back there and call play-by-play of a game and Texas won big was a real thrill. Number 9, 2004, Texas, Kansas. That's the 4th and 18 play. If Vince Young doesn't convert on 4th down and 18, probably none of what happened in 2005 takes place. He had to convert that to keep the drive alive. Texas beats Kansas. They go on and end up going to the Rose Bowl and beating Michigan. Number 8 from 2005, Texas 25, Ohio State 22. That big game on the big stage there in the Horseshoe in Columbus. Great moment. The touchdown catch by Limas Swede. Longhorns go on from there. Number 7, might be a surprise to some folks, 2013, Texas 36, Oklahoma 20. In what would prove to be Mack Brown's final year, Oklahoma was forecast to just destroy the Longhorns, and they went out and dominated the game. It was a really cool moment there. Number 6 is the 2005 Rose Bowl, coming off the 2004 season. Texas 38, Michigan 37. Vince Young giving us a taste of what would happen the next year. Just a great performance there, and Dusty Mangum's field goal walks it off. Number 5 is the 2009 Fiesta Bowl, coming off the 2008 season. Texas 24, Ohio State 21. Colt McCoy to Quan Cosby, 26 seconds left in the game. Quan's final catch as Longhorn. Number 4, 2008, Texas 45, Oklahoma 35. Fabulous day in the Cotton Bowl. Oklahoma was number 1, Texas number 5. Jordan Shipley, the big kickoff return, they come back and win. Number 3 in 2011, Texas 27, Texas A&M 25. The Justin Tucker walk-off. Final play of the rivalry, I said at the time. But the rivalry will be renewed next year. Number 2, Texas 45, Oklahoma 12. That ended that 5-year losing streak to Oklahoma and set the Longhorns continued on their course to the national championship. And number 1, obviously, January 4th, 2006, the Rose Bowl, 2005 season. Texas 41, USC 38. So there it is. When we come back, we'll wrap up our final edition of Light the Tower on the Horn.
In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine?
painted just like a friend of mine to hit me from behind. Guess I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. Karen, she's a silver sun, your best walker.
Usually we play this when I'm about to go on vacation, so you just consider it a long vacation, right? We'll see where it leads us there. Jack, I got to thank you for all your help through the years. I appreciate all your help. Thank you.
It's truly been an honor, Craig. You are. I grew up in Austin. You are a very big deal to me. You've been nothing but cordial and nice. You never big-timed me. You would listen to me and Brock talk to you at Pluckers at Longhorn Weekly. You've been just a great person to work with, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Linda, thanks for coming down here with me today, you know.
Thanks for inviting me.
We'll see if you have to
Happy
drive
to be
home or
here.
not. I don't know. We'll see how everything goes there. It was 425 years ago that Sir Walter Raleigh, wrongly accused of treason, was about to be sent to the guillotine. But he was okay with things and said, as it stands, at this hour, the fever comes upon me. I will not have my enemies think I quaked from fear. He has to feel the axe that would behead him, and he said, this is a sharp medicine, but it's a physician for all diseases and miseries. And then as the executioner hesitated, he says, what dost thou fear? Strike, man, strike! Now, unlike Sir Walter Raleigh, whose head was then beheaded and then presented to his wife after preservation, it's not quite that drastic. It's the end of the time here, but it's not the end of the time, fortunately. You have only to, if you're following the Longhorn football and basketball and baseball fortunes, to pick me up down the dial there. And you've always been a pickup, and I appreciate that. To all my broadcast partners and co-hosts like Jeff Howe and Rod Babers in the past, and to all of my teammates here like Bucky Godbolt and Aaron Hogan and Chad Hastings. There's another former co-host as well, and Isaiah Collier and Mike Harge. Thank you to all of you. The management and ownership picked me up at a difficult time and helped me get through a difficult time, and I'm always indebted to them for that. Lise Hudson has always been a dear friend as well as a two-time boss of mine. So I appreciate all of that. Most importantly, I appreciated you over the years, and I thank you for your time and your indulgence, your questions, and in fact, it spurs me right now to give away one more copy of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine. Be caller number 12. I'm serious. 447-3776. Be the 12th caller. You win a copy of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine. It's not goodbye. It is so long for now. I'm just around the corner, and you'll get an opportunity to hear me in another venue, in another avenue, in another medium. I'll be doing the high school football games on television again this year, and then in the High School Scoreboard Live show, and obviously, as has been well documented and discussed by now, I'll be calling the Texas Longhorn games down the dial. And I look forward to doing that again. It'll be my 23rd season on the play-by-play and 33rd season in the booth, overall counting the 10 years as the analyst, and 37th season including my time as the studio anchor, and it's all been a blessing, and I'm glad and thrilled to continue to have the opportunity to do that again, to continue to do that, and have a great broadcast crew there with Roger Wallace in the booth with me, with football, and Will Matthews on the sidelines, and Terry Kelly, our broadcast operations manager, making sure everything goes so smoothly. So that part will continue. Beyond that, we'll see. We'll see where it all leads down the road. I have a feeling that you'll probably hear from me in another time, in another place. But I'm not far away. I'm just around the corner there. So, you'll have an opportunity to perhaps visit with me on the on a text line again, or you know where to reach me on, I guess they're calling it X now, Twitter. You know where to find me on that as well. So, like I said, it's not goodbye. It's so long. What was it Bucky said the other day? Don't be sad because it's over. Be happy that it happened. And there's no regrets. There's no, I do not feel and have never felt that I've had any really bad misfortune happen to me by working here, by working wherever I've worked. Every day has been a blessing. So with that, I leave you, and I appreciate you taking me alongside just as I have taken you as well. It was the great Vin Scully who I paraphrased with a quote, "Believe me, I have needed you far more than you have needed me." Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned. The final edition, Chad and Zay, are coming up next. Until the next time, I'm Craig Way. Thanks for joining us. And so long from Light the Tower.
And in the end,